The coronavirus crisis has changed the face of modern living. As the country sits in lockdown, with physical and social distancing restrictions still in place from high streets to classrooms, communities across the UK have been forced to adapt. The days of simple neighbourly interaction, of day-to-day niceties, have been replaced for many with uncertainty and fear. But whilst COVID-19 has seen some of us isolated from friends, families and loved ones, for others it has been a time to act, to join together and help plug the gaps in our fractured communities. In Erdington, a team of local volunteers have been making a huge impact across the constituency, giving their time and energy to make sure no one in their neighbourhood gets left behind.
We've grown very quickly from being nothing 3 months ago to having a group of over 70 volunteers. The group was born out of a Facebook group that started literally on the day that we were put into lockdown back in March. There was a nationwide group of mutual aid groups at the time that sort of started springing up, and a centralised mutual aid Facebook group was asking for each community to create their own, in essence. The group was created by Joe Bull, and I quickly got involved as within the first day, and it's sort of grown organically from there. Some of the national programmes were slow to respond, in all fairness, and we were able to very, very quickly identify people who needed help and get that help to them.
Working with established local organisations such as Witton Lodge Community Association, the Active Wellbeing Society and the Pioneer Group, the Erdington Community Volunteers have been delivering food parcels to the area's most vulnerable residents.
This is York, we've got a food parcel for you.
With teams of 20 members working 7 days a week, the Erdington Community Volunteers have helped these larger organisations reach thousands of people across the constituency, with access to food and household essentials alongside information about important support services during the coronavirus crisis. But the Erdington Community Volunteers group has become a community within itself, with those involved finding new friends through their outreach activity and community support. For many members, working as a volunteer during lockdown has brought about some unexpected positives.
So I found out about this through my cousin, who started delivering a couple of weeks before we did, so we've been doing this for about 3 or 4 weeks now. It gives us something to do, something to get out of the house, really. It's good for me, it's good for other people, and it's good to help.
As the coronavirus crisis begins to show signs of slowing down and lockdown restrictions are assessed and redacted, the new normal is beginning to take shape for people across the UK. And whilst the country needs time to heal, grieve and rebuild, members of the Erdington Community Volunteers hope that this newfound neighbourly spirit is not forgotten in the process.
The coronavirus put people inside and into lockdown who normally lead completely independent lives. They weren't used to dealing with established organisations, so we filled that gap, if you like, between what is statutory requirements and what were the requirements of COVID. For many of the volunteers, it's had an extremely positive experience for them. It's given them an opportunity to help when there was a sense of helplessness. They wanted to help the community, but they didn't know how. They didn't know the established organisations that existed. So, as I say, this platform and this group has given them that opportunity. I also think that the volunteers will naturally go into other organisations and just improve the amount of community spirit and the volunteer capacity that we have in Erdington. You see more affluent areas like Sutton Coldfield and Moseley with a charitable trust. I'm not saying that the community volunteers will become that, but with our networking that's happened, I would like to see something like that established within Erdington and see that as our legacy.